publish, as is normal, statements of the expenditure that is gauged in. It depends how long the inquiry lasts and how much evidence is taken, but the honourable gentleman can rest assured that he will receive an answer in due course as that process unfolds.
Alex Burkhardt.
The government has just had a spending review. It must know how much it intends to spend. There will be a line in the Treasury account set aside for the Finucane inquiry. I don't understand why the Secretary of State finds it so hard to tell the House how much we expect to spend. Similarly, the government must know how much compensation it expects to pay Gerry Adams following its inexplicable decision to drop the appeal that we lodged in its case. We have repeatedly pressed the government to legislate to prevent that compensation from being paid, and the government has dragged its heels. This morning, Policy Exchange has published an excellent new report legislating about Gerry Adams in Kaltona, which sets out a clear legal solution. The government has nowhere further to hide. Will the government finally do the right thing?
Well, I would say to the honourable gentleman he needs to keep up, because I answered a parliamentary question yesterday in which I made it clear that we will deal with this issue, which arises because of the application of the Kaltona principle in the Supreme Court judgment of 2020, which the last government couldn't sort out in 2.5 years. We will deal with it in our forthcoming legislation, and I will keep the House updated.
In Robinson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Can I commend the Secretary of State for at least that he has answered a question yesterday, and he is very clearly, despite on a day whenever the Labour government were prepared to take money out of the pockets of the most vulnerable, they at least had the courage to stand forward and say Gerry Adams would get none. So thank you to the Secretary of State for that. Can I also advise the Secretary of State not to ignore the warnings of the Federation of Small Business, who were explicit in their report that the Windsor framework is fracturing the United Kingdom's internal market. That is a cause for concern. But when talking of the spending review, he was asked 2 weeks ago whether the financial transactions capital being made available to Casement Park was additional or not. He knows the Blue Book has a flat line for the next 5 years. So what was it?
Well, the answer to the right honourable gentleman is that it is additional.
Gavin Robinson.
He knows the Blue Book has a flat line for the next 5 years. But talking of economic growth, he also knows there's a commitment for an enhanced investment zone in Northern Ireland. When does he believe that the businesses of Northern Ireland will benefit from that?
Well, I would say to the right honourable gentleman, if he just bears with us, then I hope we can see progress on that in the not-too-distant future.
That completes Northern Ireland questions. Before we come to Prime Minister's questions, can I welcome to the gallery His Excellency Ahmad Safadi, Speaker of the House of Representatives of Jordan, and his delegation. We now come to Prime Minister's questions. Paul Ward.
Question number one, Mr. Speaker.
Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This Saturday.
OK, there seems to be a bit of a challenge on who can cheer the most. I've never known one Prime Minister get as much cheering. Come on, Prime Minister.
I think they were cheering more, Mr. Speaker. Quite right, too. This Saturday marks the 77th birthday of our National Health Service. And I want to begin by thanking our dedicated NHS staff for their service. And in that 77th year, I'm proud that this Labour government has delivered 4 million extra appointments, 1,700 more GPs, and the lowest waiting list for 2 years. Mr. Speaker, the Labour Party is proud to have been the party that created the NHS, and tomorrow we're announcing our 10-year health plan to build an NHS fit for the future, so that in many years and decades to come, we can still proudly celebrate the anniversary of the NHS. Mr. Speaker, may I also wish England and Wales the best of luck in the Women's Euros. And, of course, congratulate England's under-21s on retaining the Euros. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When this Labour government extended free school meals to 500,000 more children last month, Laura, a working mum in Rochdale, told me it would save her £500 a year. She said, "I'm over the moon, only Labour would have done this." Does the Prime Minister agree with me that people voted Labour a year ago not just for change but for hope, and that cutting child poverty is the moral mission of this government to help every child in this country?
Mr. Speaker, I'm really proud that we extended free school meals for another 500,000 children, including Laura's. And it's people like Laura that we have in our mind's eye and giving children the best start in life. And I think the Child Poverty Task Force visited Rochdale recently and will continue to back parents like Laura. But, Mr. Speaker, we've already started not just free school meals being rolled out, free breakfast clubs, extending childcare. That's real change under this Labour government.
Leader of the Opposition, Kemi Badenoch.
Mr. Speaker, can I first of all take this opportunity to congratulate the member for Rochdale for being the toady of the week, helping the Prime Minister. We all know it's
There's a lot of people wanting to catch my eye today. There is some free hits on this side. I won't waste your opportunity.
It's been a difficult week for the Prime Minister. So let's start with something simple. Can the Prime Minister tell the House how much his welfare bill is going to save?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, let me start by saying free school matters on this side of the House. Mr. Speaker, in relation to welfare, what we delivered last night was a bill which ends mandatory reassessment of those with severe disabilities. That is the right thing to do. It rebalances universal credit. That is long overdue, and it sets out a pathway to reform of PIP. Mr. Speaker, it's consistent with the principles I set out throughout. If you can work, you should work. If you need help into work, the state should provide the help. The system that they broke doesn't do so. And if you can't work...
I think there's one or two I can spot immediately. Usual voices, same names, please. It's too early to leave the chamber. Prime Minister.
And, Mr. Speaker, if you can't work, you must be supported and protected. The reformed welfare system that we're putting in place will be better for individuals, better for the taxpayer and better for the economy.
Kemi Badenoch.
Mr. Speaker, I don't think the Prime Minister actually watched what happened in the House yesterday. His bill was completely gutted. A U-turn in the middle of the debate, removing Clause 5. Where on earth was he? The reason why he can't answer the question is because he knows it doesn't save any money. It's going to cost millions. This is the first Prime Minister in history to propose a bill to save money who ended up with a bill which costs money. So if the bill doesn't cut welfare spending, can the Prime Minister tell the House how many people it will get into work?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm glad she asked that because it gives me the opportunity to say we've already started changing the job centres and investing in support back into work. The Trailblazer scheme, which is doing exactly what she asked me, which is getting people back into work. The bill last night will help people back into work, and of course the Timms review is ongoing. But I tell you what won't help people back into work, won't help control the costs, and that is voting to keep the broken system. And that is what they did last night. Everybody in this House accepts that the current system is broken. It invites the question, who broke it? They broke it. And last night, they voted for the status quo. The broken system is their policy. That won't help individuals, taxpayer, and it certainly won't help the economy.
Mr. Speaker, I'll tell him what we did on welfare. Yes, they can laugh. While they're laughing, they don't know my party delivered the biggest reform of welfare in government. We got record numbers of people into work, including millions of disabled people, and we cut the deficit every year until COVID. The fact is, we're not scared of doing difficult things on this side of the House. We got people back into work. What he forgets is that since the election, since he became Prime Minister, an additional 1,000 people a day are signing on to incapacity benefits. That is 50% more than under us. 50% more than under us. And, Mr. Speaker, Astonishingly, because of the mess they made yesterday, because there are no more savings, sickness benefits alone are set to rise to £100 billion on his watch. He cannot reduce that now. He cannot reduce that now.
Mr McKee, I think we've had a run-in before. I certainly don't want any more. Seriously. You're obviously not getting your timing right because I can hear your voice every time.
I'll start again, Mr. Speaker. Sickness benefits, louder for those at the back, sickness benefits are set to rise to £100 billion because of their mess. They cannot now reduce it. They can't reduce it because after last night's humiliating U-turn, we know he cannot control his MPs. They're cheering now, but you signed the amendment. You signed the amendment. Over 100 people signed that reasoned amendment until the bill was completely gutted. He said that he would take the difficult decisions, but isn't the reality that he is too weak to get anything done?
Mr. Speaker, I'll tell them what they did to the welfare system. They broke it. They broke it. And it's the same as the NHS. What did they do? They broke it. Same as the economy. What did they do? They broke it. They broke everything that they touched. And now she describes the broken system that we are trying to fix. What did she do? She voted against fixing the system that they broke. And I'll tell you, Mr. Speaker, and spell that out, they voted last night for the system that is keeping 1 million young people not learning or earning. That is a disgrace of their system. They voted for a system where we have 3 million people out of work on ill health, and they voted for that system. We're fixing it. We're clearing up the mess that they left, just like we're clearing up the NHS and the economy.